Hey everybody, what's going on? Hellmite here, bringing you another video from Grab the Lantern today. Today I want to talk about the URF versus ARURF controversy and basically the pros and cons of both sides and which one I ultimately think needs to stay, because obviously Riot don't want to have both modes. It just doesn't make any sense. You're really a fan of URF or you're a fan of all random URF, and there isn't much of a overlap between the two. Either you really just want to play URF, or you are particular about it, but either way, only one can really exist. So basically, why did Riot go to ARURF, and why are we not likely to see URF again? Basically, the biggest issue for me is that the original URF was great for like the first week or so. I think it was fantastic because everyone's playing their mains, everyone's trying out new stuff, everyone's just having a lot of fun with this really random, really awesome game mode. And that was great. And then Riot extended the duration of URF to last another couple of weeks. And that's when things started to get a little settled, I guess you could say. People stopped kind of experimenting, people started realizing what was good and what wasn't good, and they started basically spamming those champions. Because at the end of the day, we as League of Legends players all really want to win. I mean, that's kind of the thing we do. We really, really want to get wins under our belts, and that makes sense. But at the same time, URF was intended to be a fun game mode. It was never intended to be a super tight competitive experience like Classic Summoner's Rift is. So naturally, there are champions that are just gonna be better by virtue of the fact that that's what URF is, and Riot really aren't trying to balance URF that hard. They'll make balance changes where necessary in order to make sure the game mode's fun for everybody. So things like Bard gaining more chimes over time was a great change because it meant Bard felt like more of a champion. But at the same time, it meant that you have some champions like Zed or Riven or Shaco who are just uncounterable. They have no weaknesses in URF, and it's difficult to exploit their weaknesses if they do have any, and they just end up being head and shoulders ahead of the pack, and no balance changes will ever come through to make them balanced. So, and at the end of the day, that was the problem, is URF became degenerate very, very quickly. So when it did come back a year later, the first day was great because everyone wants to start playing URF again, but it very quickly devolved back into the let me spam the most OP champions in this game mode, which meant that it was not very much fun. That second week we got URF was pretty much like, all right, I'm done with this game mode. So you have to change something. I don't think it's worth your time to balance change it if you're Riot, because that's time you're not developing Summoner's Rift, that's time you're not developing new champions, that's time you're not even thinking about other things like Twisted Treeline, for example. It's just not worth your time. So what's a quick fix that makes it so that people don't just spam the OP champions in URF? Well, you make it all random. This has the side effect also of keeping URF as a more for fun game mode. Because like in ARAM, you can't treat it as a competitive mode because there's no way to be competitive in ARAM. Every champion you get is random. Sometimes you're the team that gets all the poke champions and you win every game. Sometimes you're the team with like 8 AD carries or 8 supports, and there's nothing you can do about it. You just kind of lose that game. And so you can't treat ARAMs competitively. You really can't. There's nothing you can do about it. I mean, what can you do to make it so that it actually works out? Not really anything unless you wanted to put in time and start doing balance changes, but even at the end of the day, it's all random. So you just kind of play it, and whatever you get, you get. Have fun with it however you can. And that's kind of what all random did for URF. Is it guaranteed that it was going to be more of a for fun game mode, and it wasn't going to be competitive because you can't pick your champion. And that's why I really like about it, and it prevents people from spamming the OP champions. Sure, sometimes the enemy team's going to get lucky, and they're going to get Zed or somebody, and your team won't have an OP to counter him, and you just kind of lose that game. But it's the same in ARAM, right? There's no way for you to tell if you're going to get it. Sometimes you do, and they don't have a counter. Sometimes they do, and you don't have a counter. That's just how it works. And I think it does a good job of keeping URF as a for fun game mode, which is what it's supposed to be. It's not meant to be the core League of Legends experience. It's not even really meant to be a primary game mode. It's just a thing that comes along every now and again that we get to have a lot of fun with. So I don't understand I understand to a certain extent the complaints leveled at ARURF. If I really want to play URF Orianna or URF Renekton, well, I have no real way of doing that unless I get lucky with the randomness. Unfortunately, that's just the case of it. But I think that the downsides aren't sufficient to outweigh the upsides. I think there are a lot of advantages URF gains from being all random, and I think that's how it needs to stay. Regular URF, I honestly don't expect to come back unless Riot really want to put in time to balance it, and I just don't see them putting in that time because, like I said before, it's meant to be a for-fun game mode like ARAM. Riot don't really balance ARAM. They did some work on it to make sure the experience wasn't stale, but you have to remember that ARAM is a permanent game mode. It's always available. URF isn't. So it makes sense to try and keep ARAM solid because some people can do nothing but play ARAM, in which case they want to make sure the game mode at least isn't super stale. Whereas if you look at something like URF, the biggest problem with URF is that it only comes around once in a blue moon. There's no real way for someone to only play URF unless they only log on during URF, but then are they really playing League enough for Riot to start balancing for them? So at the end of the day, I get it. Not having classic URF kind of sucks, but I think that because of the community's reaction towards it and its sort of descent into degeneracy, I think it needs to exist in the all-random mode for now. Maybe in the future Riot decide we do want to balance URF or we want to make URF permanently available, it's worth balancing, or maybe they come up with a more creative solution, I don't know. But I do think that that's kind of where we're at with the game mode. Anyways, go ahead and let me know your guys' thoughts on the subject down in the comment section below. I would love to know if you guys prefer URF or ARURF, or if you would rather see Riot put in the time to balance URF so we can bring back classic URF and not ARURF. Go ahead and let me know that down in the comment section below. If you enjoyed the video, go ahead and leave a like. If you really enjoyed the video, consider subscribing. I upload a video every Monday, Friday, and on patch days as well. Once again, thank you guys so very much for watching. I do appreciate it, and I will talk to you all later.